So let's see what types of variables that are used in case of a function. Now there are two types of variables supported by Python. One is your global variable, other one is your local variable. Now what is a global variable? So the variables which are declared outside of a function are called your global variables. And because they are available outside of any function, so they are accessible in all functions that are present inside a module or a program. Now, for example, here we have taken this a equals to 10, and you can see this a is present outside of both of these functions. This is a function fun1, this is another function fun2, and this declaration or this initialization of variable has been kept outside of both the functions. Hence, I say this is a global variable. Now, because it is a global variable, I am able to access it inside this function fun1, and the same can be done inside another function, that is your fun2 also. So while I call this fun1 function, I am able to print the current value of a, that is nothing but 10. Similarly, when I am calling fun2, then also I am able to access the same value of a, that is 10, and I get the result as 10. Now, local variables are the one which are declared inside a function, and they are available only for that function where they have been declared. So unlike a global variable which is available to all the functions present in a program or a module, so here local variables are only accessible within the same function where they have been declared, and we cannot access these local variables outside the function. Now let's see this example. So here we have taken one function, that is fun1. Here I am writing a equals to 10. Because this variable is present within this function fun1, so we can say this a is nothing but a local variable. So this variable I am allowed to access within the same function, because fun1 function has defined this local variable, hence we are allowed to use it. But if I'm trying to access the same a inside another function, let's say some fun2, so here this is not allowed to be accessed. Why? Because this a has been part of your fun1 function, which I treat as a local variable. So when I'm calling this function fun1, so obviously a has been set to 10, so hence I'm printing the value of n and getting 10. But when I'm calling this function fun2, which is trying to access the value of a, which is a local variable of fun1, so we are not allowed to access, hence it is going to not to recognize, and it's not going to recognize the variable a, hence it is going to say that this is not defined at all. So there is a keyword that is provided by Python, that is nothing but your global keyword. So what is the purpose of this global keyword? We can use this global keyword for these two purposes. The first one is we can declare a global variable inside a function. So usually what happens when you have taken the global variable and local variable same name, so inside the function, every time you refer that variable, you will only be able to access the local variable, but you cannot access the global. But if you want to use the global variable to be modified within your local, within a function, so then we can take the help of this global. Now let's see one example. So in this example, we have taken the local variable and global variable name same. So in this context, you can see here we have this a, that is 10, which is a global variable because it is present outside of both the functions. But whereas here you can see when I'm writing a equal to 200, so this a is a local to fun1. So now the situation is we have given the name of both the functions are same. If this name would have been different, there is no problem. I can access it inside this fun1, also I can access in fun2. But because this local variable name and global variable names are matching, hence whenever I'm trying to access this a inside this fun1, so this print a is going to access the local variable only. Whereas when I'm going for fun2, fun2 has no local variable with the name a. So it is trying to access a means I'm trying to get the global variable. So as a result, when fun1 function you are calling, so you are getting the a value printed as 200, which is nothing but the local variable of the fun1 function. So in the output we can see we are getting 200 here because it prefers the local variable. But when it comes to your fun2 do not have any local variable with the name a. But still I'm trying to print a means this is going to access the global variable that is present in the program. So in this context, what we have understood is in fun1 function, I cannot access this global variable because I already taken a local variable with the same name. Now, what if my function fun1 is trying to access the global variable inside this? So for that, we can take the help of this global variable. Global keyword. So inside fun1, what we have done to start with, we took a variable a equal to 10, which is nothing but a global variable because it is present outside of both the functions. Now this a, the 10, which is the value of the global variable that I want to access and make some modifications. So for that, what I'm writing global followed by a. So the meaning of this is we are trying to refer the global variable inside this function fun1. So now when I'm trying to assign this a equal to 100, so this a equal to 100 is actually trying to modify the global variable value which was earlier 10. So now when I'm going to print this, I'm going to get 100. Now let's see, when I start calling this function, say I'm calling with fun2. So inside this function fun2, we are calling or we are printing the value of a. Because I do not have any local variable, of course it is going to access the global variable. But at present, what is the value of a? It is 10. So we'll be getting 10 displayed. Now when I'm going to call fun1, so now when I enter into this, I could see the first line is global followed by a, which means this global variable we are trying to use inside this function fun1. So what we have done in the next line is we have just updated the value of a to 100. And later on when I'm printing the value of a, the a value which was originally 10 has now been modified. And hence I'm going to get the result as 100. Now here I call the fun2 function for the second time. So what fun2 was printing earlier is 10. But now when I'm calling fun2 once again, between this first call and the second call, what has happened? We have called fun1. And what fun1 has done, it has just modified the global variable value which was earlier 10 and replaced with what? 100. So as a result, in the first instance when fun2 is called, I was getting only 10 because by that time no changes have been done to the global variable. But because fun1 has called, now fun1 has updated the a value from 10 to 100. So now for the second time when I am calling the fun2 function, it is going to give me the updated value of a, which is nothing but here 100. So that's the result. That's the reason why first time fun2 is producing 10, whereas the same fun2 function next time producing 100, because the fun1 function has already modified the global variable value. Now there is one more usage of global is, suppose you want to declare a variable inside a function, but you want to allow that variable to be used by other functions. So what we have seen earlier, when I am taking a global variable, I can access it in any function. But my requirement right now is I am going to take up a variable inside a particular function, but I want to make sure that that variable and its corresponding value is accessible outside of the function or other functions. Now, so for that what we have done, let's say here I'm defining fun1 function. So where we took this global keyword once again followed by a. So this line is actually declaring a global variable inside the function. So in usual practice, what we do, we define the global variable outside without using any keyword global. So by default, when I'm writing any variable outside of all function, that is treated as a global variable. But now I'm trying to declare a global variable, but not outside of all the functions, rather inside a particular function. So here, by writing this global A, we are going to declare a global variable inside this function fun1. Now let's check. When I'm going to call this function fun1, so the control goes here, and the first line says that we are trying to declare a global variable inside this function fun1. And the second line, we just made, we have assigned some value 500 here, and we are printing the value of A. So as a result of which, we'll be getting this A updated to 500. Now the second call, where I'm calling the fun2 function. So now when it goes to this definition, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to access A. But you can see there is no globally declared variable A. But still I'm able to access this because fun1 function has defined this A as global. I can use this value of the variable within your function fun2 function also. So as a result, fun2 function is also going to display the present value of A, which is nothing but your 500.